Hey guys, welcome to the 716 Sports Entertainment Podcast special episode where last week we took a look at the top five women's wrestlers within the WWE. So today we are going to look at the male superstars and we are going to give you guys our top five. So as I mentioned, we completed this exercise back in maybe April, like right around WrestleMania time. And as everyone is our loyal subscribers are aware, the landscape of WWE has changed quite a bit. So we're gonna make this sort of a regular thing that we do once or twice a year, where we look at the wrestlers that we feel are making waves right now, the ones that are kind of in and around the top of the card, where we sort of feel that they may or may not belong, and who we feel ultimately is doing a great job. Because you may see some people on this list that you might not agree with, and keep in mind that this is our list. And if you have your own opinions, we'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. So let us know what you think. And with that, Sean, do you have anything to add? I know you and Terrence did this list before. I don't think I did this one with you guys last time.
You didn't. It was while you were out traveling the world, the wandering minstrel that you are. But you're right. The big thing for this is that since we did the last one, the landscape of WWE has changed by a lot between injuries and people moving around and just a bunch of things happening. I think that I know, like for me personally, I had to rewrite my list like three times just trying to figure out who I wanted to put where. And like I was telling you before we even started, I have one person who's on my list from the first time. And I'm sure most people will be able to guess it by the time we get to it. So I'm hoping that not only will you be able to give me some pushback on some of my picks, I have a feeling some of our picks will probably be pretty similar to each other, but I think we can have an interesting discussion about this. And as far as our viewers go, I'd appreciate it if we heard from you guys. Give us some of your thoughts and maybe your list so we can talk about that too.
Yeah, definitely. So why don't we go ahead and kick it off? I think I went first last time, so why don't you go ahead this time?
So I had a real hard time with number five because there's a ton of people that could have been there. You had like Jey Uso, main event Jey Uso, who was all over. He's still in a bunch of spots. You have Gunther, who's all been off TV. Seth Rollins with his injury. I mean, he could have gone there. So I took a shot with my number five, and I picked former NXT and TNA champ Trick Williams. He was the first NXT superstar, WWE superstar, to hold a title for another company while working in NXT. And I think that him dropping the TNA title finally to Mike Santana is a sign that we're going to be seeing him move up to the main roster at some point here. And honestly, I think he has a brighter future than Carmelo Hayes did, who he was previously with. I
Well,
put him.
okay. You know what? I'll give you that. I don't hate the pick, but I don't even think he's the top guy in NXT right now. Like
I think he was.
if I was to pick somebody from NXT at this exact second, I would probably pick Ricky Saints.
I thought
But
about it.
or maybe even Obafemi, because I think Obafemi is like miles overdue to come up to the main roster and probably make a big splash. Uh, but I don't hate the pick, and I agree with the point that he is going to be bigger than Carmelo Hayes if and when he comes up to the main roster. I completely
So
agree with that
my only pushback on the Obafemi and Ricky Saints thing is Ricky Saints is just now taking over as NXT champ. I want to see him with a little bit more time with that to see how it goes for him before I make a judgment on him. Obafemi as NXT champ 100% would have been above Trick in my book, but Obafemi hasn't been seen in like 3 months.
That's true. That's fair.
And I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if he was injured, but the fact that there's been literally no sign of him is the single reason why he did not take that spot over Trick. Otherwise, he would have taken it. And I think at some point, to be honest with you, we should do a bigger than WWE list because there's some people from outside of WWE that could have made my list, especially with the TNA crossover.
Like
But
John
it'll
Moxley.
be no, Joe Hendry. But I think that, like I said, my number five pick was a hard spot for me, and I wanted to go a little bit off the reservation with that one.
So okay, yeah, I'm fine with it. I think I think it's fair, and I think that I don't, as much as like I want to make fun of you, I don't think it's that terrible. So my number five pick is a little different, and you're going to be very interested, I think, to hear my number five pick, and it is the Megastar LA Knight. And the reason I'm going with LA Knight is a couple of reasons. So first, I had a really hard time with this number five pick because, like what you said, it was a lot of guys. It was Drew McIntyre. It was Jey Uso. It was Randy Orton. It was Gunther. There were a lot of people I had a really tough time with wanting to put in this spot. Now, some of those guys, as you mentioned, we haven't seen them on TV in a while, right?
Yep.
Seth Rollins certainly would have made my list as well, but we don't know when we're going to see Seth Rollins again, you know? And spoiler, Roman Reigns is not on my list. And Roman Reigns is another one. Yeah, if he was on TV all the time, he would be number one. But Roman Reigns is not on TV all the time. We see Roman Reigns as a special attraction, you know?
Yep.
So I can't put Roman Reigns on a top five list. So with all of that being said, I place LA Knight here because while LA Knight isn't always packaged the best, and I believe, frankly, I'd like to do an in-depth character dive on him at some point because I truly feel like his booking is a mess. He's on TV all the time, every week. He wrestles all the time. He, for the most part, except for multi-man matches or title matches, he usually wins a lot. He beat Seth Rollins in that pay-per-view. He was one of the only ones to do it. And he usually wins the matches that he is in when he is in like a tag team with somebody and he goes up against the Vision, which he's been doing a lot. And I know they're going to be moving him on to something else, but regardless, dude wrestles all the time, always puts on good matches, has had a great 2025, and he's been a joy to watch. So I don't love the pick, but I'm going to stick with it because I think he deserves the spot for all of the work that he put in 2025.
Yeah, so you ran into the same problem I did, where the number five was just such a hard choice. Because spoiler alert as well, Roman Reigns isn't on my list either. But I, you mentioned the only thing that I would give you as pushback on LA Knight. His booking has been so up and down that that is the single biggest reason why I didn't pick him. Because it almost feels like they can't decide what the hell they want to do with him. Like some weeks they want to have him beating Seth Rollins, being so close to the title that he could touch it, but then the next week they have him losing to Tsunami guy, Bronson Reed.
Bronson Reed.
Bronson Reed, and he's being the one who's always taking the pins to put over the Vision. Like, I just had his booking been a little bit more consistent, I would 100% think he would deserve to be on the list. He for his age, he can go in the ring. The only other complaint that I hear about him is that some attitude issues behind the scenes. I don't know if that's because he's been in wrestling for as long as he has, but he does what they ask of him. He is relatively consistent. I just wish they would book him a little bit better.
I wonder how true some of that stuff is, though. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that stuff that he's got, like bad attitude, because like that's the kind of stuff that's like, your buddy Dave Meltzer reports that stuff,
Yeah.
right? Like, so I don't necessarily know how true all of that is. So I'm gonna give the guy the benefit of the doubt a little bit on some of that stuff, but I would agree with you. I think on most of what you said. I normally would want to challenge a little bit, but I think that that's fair.
Like I said, the booking is about the only reason why I wouldn't rank him a little bit higher. But I can't really argue your choice with like we discussed. The number five spot was just such a wide open wide open variety that could go there.
Okay, I like it. So who do you have at the number 4?
So my number 4 is the only person who had previously been on my list from when Big T and I did it back around WrestleMania season. And he dropped from number 1 on my list previously. That is our SmackDown champion, Cody Rhodes. I think that
Wow.
I think
Okay.
Cody is 100% still deserving of being in the top 5. He is fantastic to have on the talk shows. He is fantastic to do everything publicity related that WWE needs him to do. The reason why I have him as low as is after losing the title to Cena and finally winning it back at SummerSlam from him in what was a pretty lackluster match. The feuds and everything that has been going on with him for the last several months on SmackDown have been, how do I describe this? Lacking energy, I think, is a real good way to describe it. It almost feels like they're just spinning the wheels over there and not really advancing any storylines or anything with him. And because we've talked about it on several of our SmackDown broadcasts, that we know that Cody's not going to lose. And we go into these matches, oh yeah, he may lose via DQ or via something on like an episode of SmackDown, but we know he's not in any danger of losing that title. And that really takes away for me any like really ambition to care about what he's doing. And I hate that because Cody is fantastic. I mean, you still have the live crowd singing his songs. Everybody loves him, but I can't place him any higher because it feels like he's kind of just standing still there.
Okay. I'm not going to say anything on Cody because spoiler alert, he is on my list.
I
And
figured.
I have him at a different spot. So I'm going to wait to give my feedback on Cody,
We'll
but
we'll argue
it,
that then.
it is valid. So I will. Some of what you said is valid. Some of what you said is stupid and wrong. So
Wow, harsh.
we'll get to it. We'll get to it. So my number 4 pick is, I don't think you're going to find it that surprising. I think that this guy has done great work, and I think part of the reason why he is on my list is also for what the future holds, and that is the barking dog. And the reason I think the reason is self-explanatory. I mean, they got, like we said, all the things we said for Stephanie Becker when we did our women's video. He has all of those same rocket ship criteria pieces with him as well. They are clearly strapping and shooting this guy to the moon, and I think it was a big mistake not putting the title on him. But with that said, I think it's in his future. I have no doubt that there is going to be a big program between him and Brock Lesnar real soon. And he's going to be pretty much the team captain for the men's Survivor Series match at this point, which is huge. Going up against a likely team of Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Jey Uso, maybe Roman Reigns and John Cena. And he's going to lead the heels against that group of ultra mega superstars. Like all of the guys except for Jey Uso, who are literally your top guys. 4 of those 5 guys are your top guys. And this is the guy that's going to lead the heel squad against them. They probably won't win, especially if Cena's involved, because it will likely be Cena's, they'll want to give Cena a win, especially if Cena's going to lose his final match. But I think it's a tremendous, it's a tremendous look. It's like one of those things that we said about Damian Priest a few years ago when they gave him the Bad Bunny match. And it was like, they must have some kind of confidence in this guy because they would not put him in such a spot if they didn't think that he could do it. So that's where I am with him. And I think I would bet by SummerSlam next year he is world heavyweight champion.
So I'm going to do some Steiner math here and come to the conclusion that your opinion plus mine has a 66% chance that Bron Breakker is the number 3 on my list. So I so Bron Breakker, like I said, is the number 3 on my list with an underscore to Paul Heyman and the Vision helping him along. When you have somebody who is an athletic freak to the degree that Bron is, and obviously it must run in the Steiner family because it is just, he's got the personality, he's got the physique, he's got pretty much everything that Vince McMahon would have a boner for. Sorry, world, but that
True. True.
Vince would already have him at the top of the card if Vince were still here. And
True.
it's just the guy can move in the ring like a cruiserweight. He can hit like a heavyweight. And everything you said is true. The WWE and Triple H must have such a high degree of confidence in them that when they had to basically make the left turn after Rollins got hurt, to trust Braun to take the lead with Bronson and Heyman of everything going on Raw tells me they have all the confidence in the world in him. And having Heyman whispering in his ear will do nothing except make him better. I mean, anytime you have Paul Heyman involved with somebody, you got to give credit there as well. And I think, honestly, if it's not by SummerSlam next year, I think Braun will be the champ before then.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think we're kind of on the same page a lot there. And I mean, we can kind of, I guess, finish the thought that I have earlier, because actually at my number 3 spot, it is in fact the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. And
It's
for
flip
a
flop.
lot of the same reasons that you said. I think the only reason I might have him a little bit higher is because he's still so friggin' over. He's still so over. It's ridiculous. You do have a couple of crowds here and there that are booing him. Like your really hostile wrestling crowds, but for the most part, that entrance is the most over thing in WWE. More so than
Yeah.
Jey Uso. That entrance is the most over thing in WWE. And when we get to these big stadium shows, it's going to be absolutely nuts to see that. And you're right, the storylines have not been the best, but the matches are great. Cody's a great wrestler. And actually, of the people I have on my top 5 list, Cody's the best wrestler by far.
Uh,
By For my list,
yeah,
Cody is the best wrestler of every, and you'll see why when you see who my number 2 and my number 1 is. Cody is the best wrestler of the guys I have for my top 5. So that's why I think, I would put him here. But I think the other 2 guys I have ahead of him edge him out for other reasons.
I think that you and I might be thinking along the same lines because he definitely is better than my 2 people as well. The That's the nice thing about Cody, though, and going back to what I was originally saying, is him leaving WWE and basically finding himself of his own volition is, I would love to see more wrestlers go out and do that. I mean, it sucks everything that happened to him in AEW and apparently everything that went on backstage, but it brought him back home to WWE, and I will never complain about that, especially as a fan who leans more to the WWE side of wrestling than the AEW side. I I I think Cody, and the nice thing for Cody too is he's still relatively young for a wrestler versus some of these other guys. And
39, right?
yeah, versus some of these other guys on our list or who are at the top of WWE. You and I have both talked about it before. They need to focus more on the young, but to lead that charge into the future, I think Cody is still a real good veteran to do that.
Yeah. No, I think all those points are valid. And I wouldn't put him at the top just because the feuds have not been the best lately,
Yeah.
but you can't deny the in-ring ability. So who do you have at number 2?
Number 2 is, I think, the first time in WWE history where a superstar was of a high enough caliber that they could announce that they were retiring a year in advance and have their entire year planned out for them. I have John Cena as my number two.
I can't with you. I effing can't with you.
Why? Was he John? Was he your number two?
He was my number one.
Well, we have. We'll go. Let me guess. Then your number two is probably CM Punk, right?
It is.
That's
God
my number
damn
one.
it.
That's my number one.
All
So
right,
we'll just give our points next. So
let's just give our reasons here, I guess, because yeah, you're right.
yeah, we'll just discuss why. We'll discuss why they're our top two in general. CM Punk and John Cena are between the two of us our top two. I think Cena has been, as much as everyone wants to talk about how now there's a you can go elsewhere to watch wrestling and all that. I think John Cena is still probably the most recognizable face in all of wrestling for the last decade, if not longer. Between going to Hollywood, being with WWE, doing everything he's done with Make a Wish, the guy is, if I had to build a Mount Rushmore of wrestlers, John Cena's face would be on there. And it's not so much because of his wrestling caliber, because when he first came back to start this retirement tour, he looked like shit. Well, I'm not going to lie. He did not look good. But every match that he has taken part in since coming back, you've seen that he's gotten way better in ring shape. He has put on, outside of the ill-advised heel turn, which was ruined by outside sources. I think it was a good idea, but the execution of it was not done as well as it should have been. It's the only stain I would put on his retirement tour so far. I think his match with AJ Styles last month was a great beginning of the end for him here for these last couple months. His winning of the Intercontinental title last week to become a Grand Slam champion on his way out the door is fantastic. Give him that other title. And I love the idea of this tournament to earn a shot to face him and retire him. I think that he's always been a proponent of the younger generation, and I think the fact that they're including younger people in his tournament is something that he requested as well. I think John Cena is the best of wrestling and a little bit of the worst, but the best of wrestling over the last 15 to 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, John Cena's the GOAT. Fight me, internet. He really is. And yeah, I think it's cool that they gave him the Grand Slam championship, but everything you've said, and it's all of the matches that he's had since WrestleMania. His match with CM Punk in Saudi Arabia was fun. His match with Randy Orton and those promos that they had, though, those were great. And the rematch he had with Cody at SummerSlam was substantially better. And then
Yeah.
all of the matches he's had as a face were excellent. Every
Yep.
single one of them. I loved the match with AJ Styles. Like when we do a pick'em of the top 10 matches of the year, that will probably be on my list. That will probably be on my short list because that match was, while technically it was not a masterpiece, it was such a callback to people who love wrestling. And I think there are very few people that could put on a match like that and make you cheer for it and make it not cringy. And I think John Cena is one of those people. So I can't say enough good things about the guy. And my a lot of my love of wrestling, you know, while John Cena was at the helm for a lot of the dark years of WWE when it was the PG era and it kind of sucked a lot and they lost a lot of their fan base. I I was never one of these people who turned on John Cena. I always loved John Cena. And yeah, he went to Hollywood and he kind of became like, a meme for a little while. But I now that he's gone, basically gone, it's it's like a part of my childhood is gone a little bit.
Yep.
And I can't it's depressing a little bit. And I don't want to take away from how much I have enjoyed this last year in particular in seeing him. And, I think it's been a really, really fun title run. And
I
everything else that he did. So
you mentioned about him going to Hollywood, and I think one of the big things for me with Cena, and mind you, I think that we could do an in-depth character thing on both John Cena and CM Punk if we wanted to take the time to talk about the history of both of them, not just with
Sure.
each other, but individually. And I wouldn't mind actually doing that at some point because, like you said, John Cena has been a huge part of all of our years of watching wrestling,
Mhm.
and the thing for me, I think that is also real big is the fact that yes, he may have left to go to Hollywood after he did all the original WWE movies like The Marine and 12 Rounds and that, but he never forgot where he came from. And he will like even in his interviews and stuff, like when he's doing Hollywood interviews, he will talk up WWE and how basically it made him who he is. And I think that I've never seen a more selfless person, I think, than John Cena. But like with everything he does for the Make-A-Wish and putting people over in wrestling, like the guy is incredible.
Not like this guy.
And that was my I was going to say it without saying it directly. If you want to talk people who forgot, not to go off on too much of a tangent, but people who forgot where they came from. The only and think about how different the landscape of WWE would have been had Brock Lesnar not left when he did. Had
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar stuck around back then, I don't think we see John Cena like we do. They came from the same class of OVW, but WWE was insistent on pushing Brock. And I don't think I don't think wrestling is what it is without John Cena.
Yeah. You're completely right. Moving on to CM Punk, I think the only reason I have him at the top here is, I mean, putting the title on him is long overdue. And I can't think of anybody in the company other than Paul Heyman, who is not a wrestler, that is better on the microphone than CM Punk. CM Punk can carry anyone to a good promo. Anyone. And we see it every week, when they trot him out and he makes all of his matches huge. I mean, the stuff he did with Rollins was incredible. All of the promos that they had, and his entire feud over the summer with Drew McIntyre was one of the best feuds in professional wrestling. It was the best thing in professional wrestling for months and months and months. Like when you look at all of the great feuds of 2025, that was probably the best one by a lot. So,
So I think CM Punk is the yang to John Cena's yin. He is e- egotistical. He truly believes he is the greatest wrestler in the world. But this something about this run with WWE, and to be honest with you, I never would have guessed that he would have come back to WWE with how everything went down in the past with him. But this run that he's come back with, I'm so glad they didn't immediately put him in a title picture because we were able to have those great feuds with Drew and with Seth and with everything before putting him in the title picture. I do think he deserves to be where he's at now, holding the title. But you're right. Nobody on this roster can carry a mic like him. And you're going to laugh at me because I think the only other person who would be second best after him is The Miz, just because of mic work. But he makes everything he says believable. Like when he brags about how great he is, and when he comes out there and he threatens the division and everything, and how he's going to kick Seth Rollins' ass back to the injured reserve like he currently is. And you actually he makes you feel like the hatred he feels like his opponents is real, even though you know, like behind the scenes, that him and Rollins have become good friends. You know what I mean? And he is the definition of, I was going to say pro wrestler, but consummate professional. And the fact that when he came back, his first promo was that he wasn't there to make friends, he was there to make money. I think is still one of the greatest comeback promos of all time.
oh, for sure.
I
Yeah, I mean, I can't really say more than that. I don't think it's just it's been such a treat to have him back in WWE. And I know we're not going to get him for much longer. I really hope that we get the feud between him and Cody at some point. And that's kind of really the only other thing that I want. I would like the eventual blow-off match between him and Seth, and I would love a match between him and Roman at some point. But I don't really need much more out of Punk, truthfully. I think just a few more, another couple of years, another couple of feuds. And I think once he's done with Bron Breakker, and he loses the title, loses that feud to Bron Breakker, which he probably should.
Yep.
He needs to go on to Cody and or go on to Roman and do his thing for a little while and kind of just think right off into the sunset, in the next few years here. Maybe go and, work with the guys in NXT like he's been doing for a while. So
Yeah, no, that's the perfect spot for him. And I think that him putting over Braun is the best thing that they could do with him, especially with the way he looks. Like I made the joke there about him being selfish, but you constantly see stories about him going down to Orlando to Full Sail and working with the NXT guys. And he was doing it with Braun. He was doing it with all of them. And I think that he truly does have an eye for the future as well. And him coming back home to WWE is the best thing that could have happened to wrestling, I think. Knock on wood that with all the crazy scheduling for WrestleMania season coming up shortly and the War Games match, he can stay healthy through all of it. But I think we're good. We're going to have an entertaining title reign from him.
yeah, I completely agree. So that's our list, guys. Let us know what you guys think down in the comments below. Please, put those comments down there. We read and respond to every single one of them, and we're really curious to hear what your thoughts are. Just like we were on the other one we did for the top 5 female superstars as well. So thank you guys so much for joining us for these videos. I just want to say we really enjoy doing them, and we're going to keep putting this content out because this channel is growing, and we're happy to have you guys along for the ride. So with that, I've been Mike, joined by Mr. Sean O'Neill, and have yourselves a fantastic evening, and take care.